Farmers effectively grow and market their crops, but the grain still has to be transported to its final destination. Sometimes this is a food processing plant 89 miles away, a local ethanol plant, or an export market that requires barging grain down the Mississippi River. From New Orleans, this grain will then be sent across the Atlantic Ocean to Europe or through the Panama Canal to Japan or China. A recent trip on an upper Mississippi River towboat, pushing 15 barges of corn, soybeans, and wheat, opened my eyes to what's involved with marketing and transporting U.S.-produced grains around the world, with considerable talk taking place about boosting the national per-acre average yield to 300 bushels of corn and 100 bushels of soybeans just 20 years from now. This means twice as much grain from the upper Midwest will certainly have to be transported down the Mississippi. This anticipated doubling of yields is a serious concern when it comes to being able to move this extra tonnage of grains to market, whether by barge, ship, train, or truck. Right now, 60% of all U.S. exported grain moves down the Mississippi River to New Orleans. Starting at St. Paul, Minnesota, son-in-law Mark Hansen and I spent 3 days with the 9-member crew of the Show Me State Towboat, gathering insights into how grain is transported down the Mississippi for loading onto ocean-going ships. Several days later, we left the tow at Genoa, Wisconsin, with a much better understanding of what it takes to move grain for export on the mighty Mississippi. Our home for the next 3 days is the Show Me State, a twin-screw towboat built in 1979. The 42-foot wide and 140-foot long tow is powered by a pair of 3,100 horsepower GM diesel engines. Purchased in 1984 by Cargill Marine and Terminal Company, the massive towboat is operated by Marquette Transportation out of Paducah, Kentucky. It takes a 9-member crew to push our tow's $5 million of grain downriver. Pig's Eye Lake on the south side of St. Paul is the grain barge marshalling area. Starting here with a dozen barges loaded with grain, 2 days later we picked up 3 more barges of corn at La Crosse, Wisconsin. Each barge measures 35 feet wide and 195 feet long. 3 barges chained together have a width of 105 feet for maneuvering through the 110-foot wide locks. The barges stretch 780 feet in front of the 140-foot long towboat. So how much grain will there be in this 15-barge tow? There were 8 barges of soybeans, 1 barge of wheat, and 6 barges of corn. That's 771,426 bushels of grain with a $5.4 million market value. A typical barge carries 50,000 bushels of wheat, $265,000 at $5.30 per bushel. 50,000 bushels of soybeans, $500,000 at $10 per bushel, or 53,571 bushels of corn, $192,856 at $3.60 per bushel. Upon boarding the towboat, we meet each of the 9-member crew that has spent a total of 88 years on the river. The crew included Captain Gene Ryder with 22 years of river experience, Pilot Tom Persons with 16 years experience, Engineer Eddie Spears with 9 years on the river, Cook Linda Winters, who has been feeding towboat crews for 9 years. Coming on board at the same time as the 2 of us was her $1,100 phoned-in grocery order, so all of us will be well fed. Mate James Wilhite with 3 years of river experience. Leadman Joe Ricketts with 7 years experience. Call watch deckhand Ivan Lanier with 2 years of experience. Deckhand Jason Miner with 7 years of experience. Also on board was Chad Fox, a pilot trainee learning to navigate the upper Mississippi after spending 13 years on the Ohio and other rivers. Hopefully, we'll soon be underway. but we'd already been delayed 7 hours by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which regulates all movements on the river. Just a mile south of where we're starting, the Corps of Engineers has a construction crew pouring concrete near one of the Interstate 494 bridges that crosses the river. Since they don't want any ripples or waves affecting the concrete pour, we're sitting here twiddling our thumbs. And when the concrete work is finally completed and we're underway, we'll have to move very slowly until we clear the bridge construction area. Due to the river's aging lock system and other reasons, we'll quickly learn river delays such as these are a normal part of the towboat game. Next time, moving 770,000 bushels of grain south at 3 miles per hour.